Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
Evander, like I said, big bright star of Portland. Portland. Okay, so I'll say this about Portland though: they've been very good on the attack. They just can't defend. Obviously they gave up 5 goals in this game, so defensively they're terrible. Which has been the theme as a playoff team. They gave up a lot of goals. They probably were. I think they came in with a negative goal differential, by the way.
Yes, they did.
So yeah, it's so they weren't going to go far in the postseason, but still, I mean, like I said, Evander, for his efforts with that Portland team, enough to get a nod for at least an MVP shout. But so going into this, Evander ends up issuing an apology after the 5-0 loss, and this is the apology that he posted on social media. He's like, first, I want to apologize to all the fans who on a Wednesday night dropped everything to support us. It's really hard to lose the way we did. The truth is, losing is not in our plans. I hope not, but we have to deal with it. I want to say that we, the players, and the entire staff did everything we could to take Portland as far as possible. I believe that. However, sometimes we have no control over what happens, and what happens off the field reflects on the field. Portland fans do not deserve the people who have power over this club. People who say they are men but do not keep their word. People who are only there when the team wins. Unfortunately, these are things we have no control over. I have always fought and will continue to fight to put this team on top. To the fans, you deserve much more. Thank you for your unconditional support, and we'll see you next season. Oof. Also, if you guys want to make things even more sweeter at the end, after the loss, Evander plays blame on the GM, Ned Grabavoy, to his teammates and coach, Phil Neville. So he was like, guys, don't worry, this isn't on y'all. Our GM just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's telling that in the comments for the Ferreira commentary on X, if you scroll through the thread long enough, I do find it hilarious to see the comments from Portland fans supporting him. I'm not going to say I know what's happening on the inner workings of Portland's back office, but I can just say that it's owned conveniently enough by the same guy who sold the Portland Thorns, following revelations of the club's handling of disgraced former coach Paul Riley and how bad that happened. So it would be the least surprising thing that this same ownership group has people running the club that maybe don't know how to keep their word, if you will. Now, I do find it hilarious, just Evander's in-depth 6-part thread there on his own tweet, 4-part thread. I do think that's hilarious from the fact that it happened and it's still there. I mean, we're what, 4 days removed from it, 5 days removed when this comes, or will it be a week when this thing comes out? And I don't think it's getting deleted at this point in time. I think it's telling that he does not care about his contract situation, and he would much rather voice his hatred, distaste, however you want to word those things, towards the GM and leadership for the club. And I think that's telling in a lot of ways. And looks like from fans' perspectives, a lot of them support him, which is interesting because if normally fans have a little bit more insight than people would like to give them credit for. And if the fans are on your side as a player, very few times can the club get away with mistreating you. So it's very interesting to see this. I do enjoy an MLS MVP candidate going off on his team, though, because it just makes me feel good on the inside that maybe the MLS might get better this way, because maybe we'll get out of the stupid, crappy owners that own some of these teams. So yeah, no, I enjoy this, but I mean it. Yeah, doesn't surprise me in the least given the names that have been thrown into this and Grabavoy and Neville. Phil Neville's never been a fan of the MLS since he's been coaching here or been a part of the MLS. So yeah, doesn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah, and I think obviously, I think Evander at least sides with Phil Neville in some sense because obviously he said it wasn't on him. It's just our GM sucks. But I think I think that there's a lot of things stemming with Evander. I think he's committed to Portland. I think he loves being in Portland. I mean, they gave him a great opportunity. I mean, the dude's 26 years old, I think, at this point. He's not getting any younger. I mean, as far as maybe he's hoping to get a shot at Europe. I mean, he's definitely entering his prime years, if you will, as far as a player goes, especially an attacking player. And I think, he seems to be in some sense committed to Timbers because he's trying to get into a contract negotiation to get a new contract to continue with Portland. And the real issue that Portland has right now is that he just wants a release clause, which, I mean, it's a very straightforward thing that if you guys want to know, for example, I believe Federico Valverde has like a 1 billion euro release clause. I mean, no one's going to pay that, but I mean, still, they have a release clause for him because, I mean, for example, Valverde is only going to get better. And if there's a team that's like, you know what, I could pay $1 billion for him. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's an option. And usually the release clause is maybe significantly much higher than the actual player, at least what his worth is on the contract. Because, once again, it's got to be so lucrative enough that a team has to be completely insane to want to even pay that release clause. But still, I don't know what the release clause was, but I think the dispute was just the fact that Timbers didn't want to put a release clause on him. Because, I mean, let's face it, he's an MVP candidate on a team that was very much terrible on the defensive side. Any team could be like, hey, he could be our missing piece to whatever we have going on. And, let's be honest, if he's not on the field, does Portland even have the season they have? Mind you, it's a 9th place finish. So it wasn't necessarily great on any terms for Portland fans, but you take him away, do they finish in 9th? And I highly doubt that.
Yeah. So looking at it, by the way, his release clause. So it was a $13 million 3-year contract, $4.3 million average per year was originally the contract, and then they wanted that Evander's camp wanted a $15 million release clause in the deal, so worth more than the contract was itself. Which, if you're the Timbers, why would you not include that? You're going to get more money in return than you put into this guy, through this contract lifestyle. I don't get that part of it. Especially since it's the richest contract you guys would be paying out in club history. And all you'd have to do is agree to a release clause, which there are things that certain players get the luxury of requesting. Any top player on a team should have a release clause, in my opinion. Any young superstar signing their first big contract should have a release clause. Middling players who have been around the league, just traveling around, Will Johnson, for example, from back in the day, no. But in this situation with Evander, this just makes sense. Like, yeah, you don't have to, as a team, you don't pay anything into these release clauses. They're not a requirement for you to pay into. They are purely for the player to get released from this clause that you get the money back as the club. And you're paying $13 million for the player. You have a potential to get $15 million back for somebody entering the release clause. By the way, just because they pay the release clause does not mean they get the guy in a transfer. It just means that it initiates the process, and then you go into negotiations, and then you still get a transfer fee. So not only is it $15 million, it's $15 million plus a transfer fee. So there's so much to this that, from a standpoint of trying to build the game, trying to build the club, trying to build everything for the future of your club, starting with a cornerstone piece in Evander, it's what he is right now for Portland. I don't know the reason why they wouldn't agree to this. It feels like a very simple request. It feels like I'm asking for paid time off in my contract at my job. And my job's like, you know what? Now, like, that's what this feels like. Like, Like, we're not going to give you, you're not going to have a job here anymore. You're going to be free to pursue your own passions just because we don't want to give you PTO, even though that's what, you should get PTO. Like, this is the same concept. It's like nothing changes for the club if they get this release clause. I don't understand why any team wouldn't just be like, all right, yeah, that's fair. The release clause is worth more than your contract. I'm okay with that. It's like, you're going to pay him more in 3 years when he's 29 years old. You're not going to pay him more than $13 million a year, like, or $13 million total in over 3 years. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why Portland's being such a stick in the mud about this. I know they're the Timbers, but doesn't mean you can act like a stick in the mud.
No, yeah, and I think that that's just kind of a reflection of what maybe we don't know about this organization. I think they've been able to kind of rest on their laurels, if you will, about this team is really good. They stay fairly competitive. If they go to the playoffs, they're usually a good dark horse pick team. And I think this year we saw a lot of changes. Obviously, they fired their coach. I forgot his name, but I believe he's Latin. I know he was with the New York Cosmos for a while. I don't even know if that team exists anymore. But I know he does like a lot of like commentary for MLS right now on Apple TV. I think
Giovanni Savarese.
there we go. Ever since then though, like, I mean, obviously they acquired Phil Neville, and I mean, you can't say they didn't try, at least on the defensive side, to improve it. They went and got Miller from Inter Miami. I think now we're learning more that it wasn't necessarily that he was a good defender. I think he was just one of those that he paid off from having Messi on his team. But I think the defensive flaws that Portland, once again, was kind of reason why they had their downfall. And which is funny because on whenever I'm on Wake Up MLS, there's always this one guy commenting that gets mad that we say that Portland's terrible defensively. They're like, "Oh no, we're actually not that bad." I'm like, "Do you see your goal differential? Because I think that says a lot of things." I mean,
yeah, no, it's just, it feels like they still operate themselves like a USL Pro team, and they haven't been in the USL since 2008, 2009, maybe 2010 is when they finally came up. Act like you're an MLS team now. It just feels like they're operating on a shoestring budget when they don't need to. The league has a set salary cap to prevent anybody from potentially going into financial issues like you might go into in the USL. That's the whole purpose of the salary cap.
yeah, and I think it's not.
I don't get this.
It's not fair for a player that, and I think maybe Portland, I think, could have probably benefited from maybe getting a few more signings. It doesn't have to be like go get a guy from Europe or go get a guy from South America. Like, there's teams in the MLS that are probably checked out this year. You probably could have added someone from one of those situations.
Yeah.
Like, you could have gotten options. Like, why weren't you the one going after Teenage Hadibi when FC Cincinnati went and got him? Like, there's things that you could have done to at least improve your situation where you're not in a wild card spot. But no, you're like, we have this attack. We have these guys are scoring a bunch of goals. So what if we're giving up also 5 goals as we're scoring 3? Like, who cares about that part? It just that nothing was learned from it. And I think it is alarming that this guy's still the guy that was connected to that whole scandal with the Portland Thorns, is still even owning an MLS team, let alone just owning a team, period. And I mean, NWSL is a very, very tricky situation where lots of things are just happening in there. And I know the San Diego FC, I forgot what they're called now.
San Diego Wave.
San Diego Wave. Yes, thank you. I know they're going there. There's a potential scandal that's going on over there as well too. So there's a lot of shit going on in NWSL. And I mean, they got rid of him, but clearly there's still a lot more issues with that league in general. But we'll see what happens, man. I think you don't say these things and expect to come back, is what I'm saying. And I think he also knows that. I think that there's going to be a team that wants him. I mean, who's not going to miss out on an opportunity with a player that plays the way he plays. I'm not saying he's going to be a Premier League player by any means, but I think he's going to get an opportunity. And I think that whether it's with another MLS team, who's to say? Or it could be abroad. But I think, Portland shot themselves in the foot, and having a star speak out that says a lot. That says a lot.
Yeah. By the way, one correction is Portland did have a positive goal differential. It was +9 on the season.
Okay.
So just want to throw that out there for when we inevitably get the comment on this that says, "Hey, you guys, they did have." Okay, you're right. Fair enough. It's a +9.
My bad. I'm sure it's the same people that are going to get mad at me that I said Kate Smith instead of Kate Scott.